This episode of the Great Girlfriends podcast is being brought to you by Healthy Women and the Allergen Foundation. For more information, visit healthywomen.org.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sibylla Muti. What's up, great girlfriends? What's up, what's up, what's up? Listen, you all are the most amazing women in the world. I want you to know that. Don't ever debate it. Don't let any circumstance or confusion or anything that's going on in your life kind of throw you off that track. You need to know how amazing you are and how appreciated you are. So I hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful day. I am for sure. Listen, I just came off of a fast, a 3-day cleanse that I turned into a fast, and the breakthrough that I received was amazing. In 3 days, great girlfriends, in 3 days in my body, I began to feel much, much better. As you know, I've been on this wellness journey to reclaim my body, reinvigorate my body after losing my dad this year and my journey through grief and just all the anxiety that came along with a lot of the decisions I had to make this year. And so I am feeling really, really clear in my head, clear in my body, clear in my mind. So having said that, I want to encourage you to kind of look at your food, look at your habits, look at some of the things that you can adjust, that you can make room for new beginnings. You know, new beginnings are so important. So today, you're wondering, what are we talking about today? And I'll get into that in a second, but I want to thank you for hearing my cry. Oh my gosh, you are the best community ever. So I sent out an email, and I also went in the Facebook group, and I asked Great Girlfriends, please, 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 I'm begging you to leave your amazing reviews. And when I tell you, you guys came through, even with the few that have come in, I just wanted to say thank you. Now, these are going to encourage the rest of you to give reviews. And I even put a little note in there, and I said, hey, screenshot your review, email it to our team at welcome@thegreatgirlfriends.com, and we will send you a cup of coffee or tea on us. So simple, cost you nothing, but a little bit of time, probably 5 minutes at the most. So I'd like to read one of these amazing reviews. It's from AADW. Have no idea who you are, but hey, girl. And the title of her review is, I love Great Girlfriends Time. And she says, these podcasts are my great girlfriend's time. During this pandemic, I have not been able to attend girls' night out, weekend trips to the winery, or many of the other things I am accustomed to with my girlfriends. The Great Girlfriends podcast makes me laugh and cry as they inspire me and check me, just like a good old girlfriend. Subscribe and they will always be there like great girlfriends. AADW, you are the real MVP, honey. I want to thank you so much for sending that amazing review. And listen, it is only because of listeners like you and all of the other great girlfriends that are tuning in each month that we get to keep this podcast thriving in the way that it is. So please feel free to share your favorite episodes with one of your great girlfriends. And let's continue to spread the word about this community, because women need this special time of empowerment, of self-care, of nurture, of connection. All the things, y'all. We need all the things. I'm doing any and everything right now to keep my body and my spirit and my mind re-energized. And so, why not share that with your homegirl and let her know, like, hey, girl, check this out. Just send her a quick link and then let her fall in love with the show like you have. So that's my... Now, you're absolutely going to love this week's episode. I am speaking this week with what I would consider America's women's health cheerleader, Dr. Jessica Shepard. She is such an incredible spirit. Her love and her passion for women and her advocacy go near, far, and wide. And the conversation we had today was really... But don't take my word for it. I want you to grab your pen and paper as usual. Call a great girlfriend, tell her to get on this episode, and listen in as Dr. Jessica Shepard leads us through some pretty practical steps to really maintaining optimal women's health, and some tricky conversations in there. And I can't wait to hear your comments about it. So thanks for listening and enjoy. Great girlfriends, you are in for a treat this week, because I am on with one of my favorite doctors, actually. I don't know if she even knows that, but Dr. Jessica Shepard, who I've been chasing for weeks, and she's so incredibly chase-worthy. When you listen into all of the amazing women's health tips that she's offering today, you will understand why Healthy Women and Allergen Foundation have brought her on for this conversation. Dr. Shepherd is an OBGYN and women's health expert and also the founder of Her Viewpoint, an online women's health forum that focuses on addressing taboo topics in a comfortable setting. That's great girlfriend behavior. I love that. As an OBGYN, she practices at Baylor University in Dallas, and you have seen her in almost every publication under the sun. I mean, we could name drop, but why when you can just Google all that? So I'm just going to welcome you, Dr. Jessica Shepherd, to the show.
Thank you so much. You're right. We have been chasing each other. You're good at it. You chase really well. And what? I'm going to just submit to the calling. And I did. And
I love it.
Because you're amazing.
But here's the deal. You're a great girlfriend. You didn't know it, but now you know. You are fully great girlfriend. You do what you do and you make it comfortable. You make it normal. You make it safe for women to talk about. And so that's what this platform is all about. And Healthy Women and Allergen really wanted us to have this incredible conversation to, get, in the seams of women's health, because it's very important that we prioritize what's going on the inside. And we don't know what we're doing, Dr. Jessica. We need you to kind of give us the 1, 2, 3 on how to DIY really great women's health and advocate for ourselves. I
love that. I love that. I mean, I could be the vagina whisperer at this point.
Oh, right? That's good. That's really good. I love that. So tell us about our vaginas. What don't we know?
We actually, what I find that the vagina is like this fabulous organ that we really underestimate. And for years, centuries, we've been told to be ashamed of it and not talk about it, but it really is quite glorious. And the fact of what it can do, how it functions. So I really like to change that perception, even when people come to the office for their annuals and, that uncomfortable position and, you're in the frog leg and we're like, come down to the end of the table, keep coming. And so many women want to cover it up as they're coming down towards me. For one, I see about 100 vaginas a day, but two, I'm like, no, I want you to just be okay with this. I want you to feel as if you were going to the cardiologist and they were going to examine your heart, with the stethoscope, and you unveil. You don't cover up your chest, do you? No. Quite okay, you're going to check my heart. That's a very important organ and let's do it. And I want people to feel the same when they come into the gynecology office.
And that brings me to breast health as well, because those two go hand in hand. That appointment is an aggressive one. And when you hit 40, it's even more scary for women to kind of take that leap into getting all the necessary exams in place. So talk to me about some of the myths that you hear from women on a frequent basis, or things that you've heard that are just absolutely not true.
Yeah, I think, I can give you top three. Top three is probably going to vaginal secretions and discharge. So there's this thought that if you don't have a lot of discharge, that something's wrong with you, or that only happens to old women. But quite frankly, vaginal secretions are just set up like any other secretion in your body. So if you want to snot or saliva, and you just have people who are overproducers of it and underproducers. Obviously, if you think of the distribution curve, you have those that are just kind of the norm. And I hate to say the norm because everyone's normal. But think of breast milk. You have moms who just don't produce a lot and some who produce so much. So then it becomes this thing of, if you don't produce enough, vaginal secretion, something's wrong with you. And partners, I think, and that actually had to start in the porn industry. If pornography, it was this overflowing of secretions. And so that's what kind of resonated with people, that you have to be like that. And if you're not like that, something's wrong with you. And I just like to dispel that myth, because that's not true. And then one of the other ones that I think is so important is sex in itself. I think we have a very poor culture of sex and sexual health in the United States. And we're really just taught insertion. That's it. Penetrational sex, and that's it. So there's nothing taught about intimacy. There's nothing taught about the connection that you feel with your partner, the emotional portion that goes into sexual health. And then you have people who miss out on decades of really good sex because they have just this idea that it should be insertion, penetration, and then some type of feeling that may or may not be an orgasm, and then that's it. And then So sexual health and the sexual culture that we have, and I see in so many women that go for years without understanding their bodies, is quite horrific if you think about it, because our bodies are made to feel pleasure and, be able to feel that connection with other humans. And a lot of times we miss that, for sure.
Okay, those are huge. Okay.
I know, I just dove right in. I was like, let's just get to it. That was like textbook stuff. You're like, what chapter are we on?
Those are huge because those are the things that we carry quietly, right? So those are the secret thoughts. Those are the things that we really don't necessarily talk about with our great girlfriends or with our doctor. And so those are the struggles. And then when it comes time for us to have these conversations or even have those appointments, there's all this apprehension that comes up. And so, I don't know if we even know what should be, what to expect out of our bodies, what to expect out of the doctor at the OBGYN, how to make that conversation transition. Some doctors don't even ask those questions. And so we don't know that they don't. I mean, I can say for years, I never had a doctor ask me even how those things were going. So
it's not uncommon for me to hear that. When I ask 70-year-olds at their well women's about their sex life, of course they're clutching their pearls. But I love getting to the point where then now they're actually telling me awesome. And for them to still enjoy that and that they don't have to shut that part of their life off after menopause.
Speaking of that menopause, that phase, that stage, because I really do think, Dr. Jessica, that's when women become more sensitive or intentional about breast health. I really think that's when people start to think, okay, it's time for me to, wonder or even consider the fact that breast cancer could, be something that happens in our families, et cetera. So when is it time for us to really think and be conscious about breast health? And what is that like?
Yeah. So breast health, when we think of like cancer, breast cancer and recommendations as far as screening and what are those best ages. So from a clinical standpoint, this is when I put my clinical hat on. When we look at the distribution and the incidence of breast cancer and what age range that usually will occur, that's going to be your 40s, your 50s, and a little bit into your 60s. So when we think of like when that is really going to peak, those are those ages. And that's why we start screening at the age of 40. Now, seen in the breast cancer world, I guess you could say, well, first of all, the statistic is 1 in 8 women in a lifetime will be diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, what we have been seeing a little bit more is younger ages of breast cancer incidence. And so what that really means is if you have a family member, usually a direct family member, meaning like a sister or a mother that has had breast cancer under the age of 50, that alerts to us, you know what, for your daughter or whoever the patient is, you should probably get your breast cancer screening a little bit earlier. And so that you may be at the 30-year-old age or the 35-year-old age at which we'd want you to start screening. And that's important because for those small amount of patients, most women, when we think of those 1 in 8, will get breast cancer just sporadically, meaning just because. That's when you look at genetic causes, that is the smaller amount of cases that you'll see in breast cancer, but they can come on earlier. And that's what makes it different, is we want to catch those women earlier, because breast cancer early detection is like key, because you can actually cure it. If you detect breast cancer very early, you have so much more ability to cure it, and your life expectancy is increased exponentially.
Wow. Okay. So I want to do a couple of true and false with you. Excuse me. I want to talk about deodorant. Aluminum. True or false? Aluminum contributes to the increase of breast cancer in women.
So that actually is false. I know there's a lot of literature out there, or I wouldn't even say literature, because when we've looked at studies and that direct link, does aluminum cause breast cancer? There is no direct link that we would say, yes, if you are exposed to aluminum or if you have it in your deodorant, then you are going to significantly increase. Because what we look for really in statistics is it going to be a greater proportion of people that are going to get breast cancer? Because if that were a case, FDA would be like, shut it down, no more deodorant on the shelves. So we haven't found anything that's going to say, yes, that's going to cause it. But I would say for women who feel that may be something that they're not comfortable with and don't want to use deodorant with aluminum, oh my gosh, then definitely do that. do what makes you feel comfortable within parameters. But if that is what you choose to do, I am all for it.
Oh, that's good stuff. Okay, here's the second one. True or false? Underwire in bras can contribute to pain or development of, I think it's nodules or tumors towards breast cancer.
So I would say that's a true/false.
Okay.
Because the underwire can contribute to sometimes nodules. I've had many women who come in and literally just because they wear underwire bras all the time, they get like, it's almost like an irritation and then the tissue responds to it and then it just feels a little bit hardened. Now, to say those hardened nodules increase your chance of getting breast cancer, that's where it's false.
Okay.
So a lot of times it's just because let's take this back to most women do not wear the correct bra size.
Ooh, okay. Yeah,
right?
That's a big one.
And so many women actually don't wear the correct bra size. And so they're wearing bras that are not really for them. And then the underwire really is causing a problem and causing this like kind of reaction. A lot of women will get rashes or nodules or tissue formation. And that it can lead to that because a lot of women who I've seen with that, we send them for ultrasound, obviously to make sure that they don't have breast cancer. And then we find out that it's benign, it's not cancer. And a lot of times I'll say, why don't you try going for some time without wearing underwire and see what it does for you. And a lot of women have come back and been like, yes, it resolved. And that's what that was. Yeah.
So great girlfriends, go out and get yourself sized for the appropriate bra. That is an urgent and important.
Well, I would say that was kind of disappointing for me when I actually went and got correctly because I was smaller than I thought I was. And I had breasts. You want to hear a quick little, what's it called? TMI. My sister, she's older. Obviously, when you hear this comment, you'll be like, that's an older sister who would say that. She is like, oh my gosh, you really have no boobs, even after you're a kid. She's like, you look like a prepubescent boy. I was like, so much for that compliment, I think.
Right. You're like, thank you not? I'm not sure.
Thank you, not so much.
Kind of a whole woman. I know that's so funny, but sister, only a sister can go there with you. And you're like, you know what? Yeah. Okay. So here's my last one. What is the number one question we should be asking our great girlfriend about breast health?
Yes. So what I think that you should is checking your girlfriends. Have you, one, gone for your well woman visit, which would include a breast exam? So that's what we do when you're in the office and we do our hand and palpate for any masses. The other thing is that if you are 40, have you gone for your mammogram? Being accountable to our friends and being part of this wellness journey so that we don't have our friends who are 43 and now realizing that there's a big mass in their breast and then going for testing and then figuring out they have breast cancer. So the whole point of screening is detection, early detection, and prevention. And so that's why screening in the form of mammogram, the pap smear for cervical cancer, and for the digital rectal exam and the colonoscopy for colon cancer, that's why we did these tests and developed them so we can prevent those types of cancers. So I think being accountable, if you want to be a good girlfriend, make sure that you're accountable to your friends for their health.
So good. Dr. Jessica, I'm going to have you back because there are more questions that are flooding. And one of them is about augmentation. We'll get into that on our next episode. But where can they keep up with you and send you DMs? And thank you for this amazing advice.
Yeah, so they can, usually I would say my IG is kind of like the one that I check all the time. And I feel like I'm very conversational on there. And it's Jessica Shepard, MD. So that's JESSICA SHEP as in Paul, HERD MD. And that's Instagram. And then I have a fabulous Facebook community, which is called Her Viewpoint, which you were alluding to earlier. And that's on Her Viewpoint community on Facebook. And that's where you can get a lot of good information and taking out the taboo topics and being able to discuss them. That's where that's housed.
That's perfect. You have given us so much and you've reminded us, great girlfriends, to really be proactive versus reactive around our health journey, our women's health specifically. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you, Healthy Women. Thank you, Allergen Foundation. Dr. Shepard, you're amazing. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sybil.
Great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast, into the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group, The Great Girlfriends. You follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at _Great GFS. Last but not least, we'd like to thank my amazing husband, Kwaku, Sam and Dilly, and all of you for being a part of the global community that makes us so strong. Please remember to share with your friends, keep listening, and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.